seem to have gotten maybe even better. Joined. They are very, very good players, of course, and
I'd give a slight edge here for PentAce. I just like the PL into Raid King. I think that's much more potent than Shaker into PL. Again, it's a matchup that we've seen kind of work out for the PL in some cases. You're going to really have to get some early timings here for Michael. Get that blink up ASAP. Get the Ag Shard as well for additional control. And control yourself when you want to slam. You have to really judge those opportunities for the Echo Slam up against the PL. You need to know and keep track of when Doppelganger's used up, which can be hard as the game goes on. We've seen certain PLs go for, reduction in cooldown before the talent comes out. So they try to rush Octarine and try to build up that way. And once you do get to that point, the Doppel is such an annoying spell. Very hard to time right into, and that could be to the detriment of that Shaker here.
Leo's already going to be caught out. Z-Freak hasn't skilled up anything yet. They're just going to get a bit of harassment onto Leo. Just making sure he understands he can't even try to come in and secure the top bounty rune. Infamous going to do a similar thing down at the bot lane though, just making sure they've got those bounties. It should even out to a 2 for 2. I doubt A sticks around either down at this bot lane. There's not that much kill potential with the Bane in a tri-lane, so he'll probably just go straight up to the top lane after getting this bounty. Maybe he could stick around for a brain sap, but I don't really think it's that worthwhile.
You're so nice.
Nah. They do just split up the lanes. You are still starting with this tri-lane up top for PentAce, but the supports are showing. So Moo shows up. They do know that there are more heroes clumped in. Snake Ink's just going to be focusing on his block right now. And they do actually just TP away. So not looking for the first blood opportunity because they showed up early. You do have to still deal with this lane as a Raid King. Never fun up against a Rubik. Fade Bolt just makes it harder to last hit. But A does have some angles he can play with. Has the Brain Sap ready to go. So he can trade fairly well as well. Going up there and just getting some harassment off onto Snake King.
Yeah, I mean, they had that recent nerf with the Brain Sap, which kind of annoyed me a bit with the Bane, but it is still pretty strong. Still very annoying to trade with. It's just that level 1 Brain Sap doesn't do anywhere near as much. And so the trading did get a little bit worse. But overall, as a hero, still very powerful. Still very annoying in the laning phase. Of course, in the mid lane, we do have Angel up against Ryoya. The SF and DP matchup, again, one we really haven't seen for such a long time. It could go either way, depending on who does get the initial waves of CS, but as the CS does come up for Angel, naturally the lane is going to get a little bit easier for him. And assuming he doesn't get caught out by Ryoya with a Spirit Siphon, he should be just fine.
Yeah, that's the one thing with the DP. Because it's a range-on-range lane, you're not able to really maximize your Spirit Siphon for harassment, although
almost kills off the Pango, but doesn't quite get the job done. Didn't have the Brain Sap off cooldown for a second one. He's still going to stick around with a Nightmare now, or rather Enfeeble, excuse me, on Z-Freak. That's another thing that kind of got on my nerves as well with the Bane changes. Why do they keep changing the skills around? Just leave them how they are. We're fine with them. Leo, going to be chased down as well. Doesn't have Reincarnation, of course. He's just level 2. He's going to get back towards the tier 1 tower and be just fine, and A will salve him up.
it's a tough lane in terms of trading regen here up top. You're already out of Tango's left on Leo, so he's going to be having a harder time staying up front. Do you have a little bit more regen on hand for the Pangolier and for Z-Freak as well in the Rubik, so they should be able to hold that lane steady. Gives us a chance to look at that last lane down, but you've got Michael on the Shaker, is around with Mariano on the NP. They are laning up against Moo on the CM and Fear on a PL. And early on, this lane is not going to be the easiest for Fear. He's a melee hero going up against the NP. The NP does not have a Blightstone this time, but you do still have some good harassment out with the Treants. With your pure right-click damage, it's fairly hard for you to trade, and the CM can't really do too much to zone Mariano out. So it's steady farm for the NP, but Fear, you know, he's slightly behind, but not by much. Your PL's also not going to be under too much duress here.
I love that little play from Moon, just aggroing the large camp there to really annoy Michael. Trying to get a bit of free harassment out. Didn't get too much though. Michael was able to juke out the hits from those neutrals with those brown boots he does have up. Back up towards the top lane, we look at A, and it looks like he is in a lot of danger and does get disarmed again. He's still alive and is going to be able to survive thanks to the Fairy Fire. And Leo will get another salve off his Bane, but this top lane is continuing to be a real struggle for Infamous, and it's just not going to get easier. I think A is going to have to continue spending all his money on salves. He doesn't really have much money, so it's going to be pretty annoying for him, and it looks like he's just going to go straight for a deny now. Just not wasting any time. Back to the fountain for him.
Yeah, just getting that reset off does buy some time to secure these power rooms as well, although the supports are on hand for PentAce, and they're already there. Ryoya should be able to get a nice regen, and Michael tried to go for the block play, but they weren't ready with Angel not quite having enough damage to really lock Ryoya in. So our DP as well going off to a very swell start here. Slightly ahead of our SF. Never good news. SF's one of those heroes that needs to snowball.
First blood down a bot lane as well, John. Fear ends up killing off Mariano. Because Mariano was alone for a bit, as we did see Michael go to try and secure a power rune. Didn't even get lucky with that. And while he was gone, Fear makes sure he goes in with Moon and secures the first blood. That's going to be a great start for Fear, being able to get that nice bonus gold off that first blood.
Yeah, and he gets it on the big hero. Mariano just overextending a bit, and that does set a good tone here for PentAce, who's not able to do much to stop those dives in, and Michael is still finding some solid EXP on the Shaker as well.
Snaking now, going on to A. Leo still taking a hell of damage as Moo does end up eventually going down now on the Crystal Maiden. They do get themselves a bit of a trade in the end, but still think Fury is going to be more than happy.
Yes.
Over in the mid lane as well, Ryoya, he ends up getting quite low on the DP, and it looks like the raise damage from Angel is really starting to stack up. Because Ryoya can't really get too close here, as Angel will always be ready to throw out those raises. And as long as he catches 2 raises, it will mean a kill onto Ryoya. Looks like he does eventually get a salve up anyway, and he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, it's just a steady build up here. They are trying to pressure Ryoya. He does have level 6. So if the lane gets shoved a bit too far out, the DP is going to look for that mid tier 1. And Michael is around the area just to get some stacks up. They do have their top jungle sort of invaded. There's a nice forward ward already being dropped to keep track of any stacks on the top jungle. But none of those stacks are being built there. Really heads up play from Infamous.
Mariano, sprout up Ryoya. He's going to be targeted. He's going to try and fight back with an Exorcism and Spirit Siphons, but it's just too much damage. He'll Fairy Fire and run, but they get the Exorcism forced out of him. So now at least they know that that's going to be on cooldown, and for PentAce, they're not going to get much out of this. Maybe they will. Michael stuck around, but look at the Treant blocks coming out towards Z-Freak. They're still going to go after the Earthshaker, but Ryoya is low and is going to die. Uh-oh. Snaking, he will go down, at least killing off Michael, but this is a really bad situation for PentAce, as Mariano will get a double kill now on the Prophet. Ryoya maybe just getting a bit overly confident with the Death Prophet, does end up paying for it.
Yeah, it's a big set of kills coming out for Infamous. Opens up a bit of a shove on mid as well. Moo.
Yeah, Moo might be dead. Nature's Wrath flies through. Mariano can't quite reach him anymore, and Ryoya was there to defend his CM, as now they go back in onto the Prophet, but they can't cancel the TP. It's just fine to get out.
Yeah, it's a lot of space bought out for those rotations mid, though, as Fear does get to do a lot of damage on that bot tier 1. Not the ideal tower to shove in, but this is a lot of space for the PL to just keep farming up. So you are getting some good space out, and they do group up top.
They do, but it's not going to amount to anything. They're just trying to make sure everything's fine up in this top lane, but Moo's being chased down by skeletons. Yeah, he might be dead. 50 HP, he'll be okay in the end. Even the Ancient's getting involved there for a second. He's going to be alright.
Yeah, it's one of those things for the Raid King that you can't underestimate. Still, steady build-up for both sides, 2-4, lead for Infamous, just at 1k. They are finding that initial farm quite nicely. You're seeing Leo pull ahead of Fear, and this is down to the fact that he can farm so well with his skeletons. He can go into camps, clear out waves, and there's not much you can really do about it. The PL is a bit slower to farm up. We are seeing Fear save for the Yasha, so no Midas build-ups, which is good to see, as we have seen PL Midas just fall flat, and Fear is just going to focus in, hunker down, maybe look for that diffusal build-up right after as well.
Leo's going to have a decent enough timing on the Radiance, though, if this keeps up. Like, he's top of the net worth board, and apart from those earlier stages of the lane, he really hasn't been struggling any longer. Maybe now with so many heroes up, they can try to go for him, but he does have a secondary life already. They're going to bring even more up now as Ryoya does TP towards that top tier 1 tower. And Leo still has no TPs coming in. There we go, they finally are here, but he's respawned up already. Looks like he's going to make it out as A now shows himself the Nightmare onto Ryoya. That's going to be it. Leo loses 1 reincarnation life, and he immediately TPs over to the Dire Triangle and gets back to farming that instead. The rotations out from Sad Boys, it really doesn't amount to much, but I think they are going to try and force this tier 1 with an Exorcism play.
Yeah, they are going to go ahead and try to get that done. Their mid is still being shoved in by Mariano, though. This is a bit of the risk you take with DP. You are going to be able to get towers fast, but they need to come in for the defense for this bigger tower mid.
Well, nice Fisher there from Michael as well. Z-Freak being caught, but Mariano is actually the one that's in danger. So he went a bit too far in, and they just didn't commit all the way. Meanwhile, top lane, the tier 1 does go down, but Angel gets the Requiem off and is going to be able to secure the kill. So really not too bad of a trade. The DP does go. And of course, eventually they will be able to get the bot tier 1 pretty easily with this draft. So I don't think Infamous are going to be too upset about this trade at all.
No, they got the deny on the top tower as well, so they take away some of that gold that the DP wants to build for the team with that shove-in. And I think PentAce is not going to be too happy about that at all. 3-5, 2k lead on Infamous's end. Angel starting to build up. I believe the Yules is just about to fly in. So he has the Yules Requiem set up for himself. Going to the Travels next. And once you hit that spike, it is easier for this SF to start finding that burst potential with the Yules combination. Very hard to dodge that one out early on.
It certainly is. Bot tier 1 does go. Mariano the one to pick up the tower gold. Trying to make sure that mid tier 1 stays defended here on the side of PentAce, but you don't really want to have to commit too many heroes to do this. Infamous haven't committed any to go for that tier 1 tower yet. They are going to smoke with this Yules, however. Angel would love to get that Requiem back on cooldown. It's just coming off cooldown, and they're going to run straight for that bot lane now towards Snake King. Looks like it might be an easy pick-off as they also have the Fiend's Grip, but he's going to try and swashbuckle away, and it looks like they did end up going a bit too early as A is going to get stunned up by the Rolling Thunder, and they are going to try and turn this. Angel being perma-stunned here, Z-Freak also rotates, and they get both of them. And I'm kind of shocked that Angel wasn't the first one to run down the staircase. He has the bigger range with the Yule Scepter. Fiend's Grip level 1, the range is very, very low in terms of cast range, so you have to get real close. And they gave Snake King all the time in the world to just swashbuckle away.
There was a really good wraparound from behind as well, although Mariano drops up top from another rotation out from PentAce, and that was really down to the fact that Moo and Zifi were smoked behind. They got that, although Michael.
The Echo being committed, he only really hit the CM with that, but Moo it might just die. A gets a Fiend's Grip so they can at least get the Rubik first. Z-Freak does die, and now Michael wants to try and chase down Moo, but the Fisher, it's not going to be off cooldown for a while. He's going to give up on that, but at least they do get the position 4 instead of the position 5.
Yeah, just slightly better in that trade. That does put Echo Slam on cooldown. So Infamous are not going to have that tool for the next team fight, and that could be something PentAce look to abuse. They've got the Exorcism ready to go on Ryoya, and they can start to set their eyes down mid if they wanted to. They do have Rolling Thunder off cooldown as well. So they have all the tools needed to go into a team fight. Fear is getting so much space out of this as well. Has the Yasha up with the Power Treads. Is going for the Diffusal Blade next. So it's going to be a much more active PL build than the PLs we've been seeing for the past few days. That should allow so much presence against the Raid King. Leo is still saving up for the Radiance. It should line up with that Diffusal timing from Fear. So it's going to be a bit of a back and forth with the Evasion versus Mana Burn.
Oh, they're going to run into Michael. Smoke broken, but they aren't going to commit for the Earthshaker. Instead, they just want that tier 1 mid tower. With the Exorcism, it shouldn't be too hard to take. Looks like Infamous aren't even going to be around to try and defend this. Just going to let it go. Prioritizing making sure that Leo gets that Radiance ASAP, and well, he's very close now, but it looks like he is going to be spotted out by Z-Freak and Ryoya. He's going to come in as well. With that Exorcism still going, they're going to be able to get the first line. Leo actually has no teammates around him. It's going to be very hard to survive this scenario, and it looks like he is not going to survive. He goes down, and Sad Boys, or excuse me, PentAce, able to get the kill on the Wraith King.
Yeah, it's always down to these smoke plays coming out from PentAce. Z-Freak was right around behind the Raid King, had the vision, they TP in, find a kill. Now they're ready to go elsewhere as well.
Hey, getting caught with his pants down. He's going to go down on the Bane. Just trying to desperately get some farm up after that terrible laning stage he had. Fortunately for him, it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, that's the one thing with the Bane. It's very hard to play catch-up if you start falling behind. So it looks like we're not going to see the fast Aether Lens timing that you might want here. Even the Glimmer Cape going to be a bit slower. And that can take away from the utility of the hero, especially post-nerf. We'll have to see if they can build up to that point. Still, Infamous are getting some space out from those trades. At least Mariano gets to build up, has the Orchid ready to go on the NP, saving up for the BKB next. So once you have this BKB on the Nature's Prophet, you're in a much better spot to stand and fight. You also have this Blink now on Michael. So they can go in for the slam plays if they want to, look for bigger targets in the middle of these fights, and start taking some of these core kills that they have been hurting to find.
See if they can do it. No smoke yet. They may have a nice opportunity up the top lane, as it looks like PentAce are going to wait to see if they can pick off Mariano. They aren't going to go in. Snaking, though, does have his own Blink Dagger up now. Instead, they've smoked down to the bot lane. They don't actually spot Fear out. Bit unlucky there for Michael. They also have the Fiend's Grip, and now the smoke's going to break, and Fear, he runs the other way. Michael was not ready for it. And Fear, I wonder if he saw the blink up, but I think you can assume he probably already knows, considering you are smoked at 16 minutes in. So the blink reveal not going to be successful here for Infamous. And PentAce should be much more careful knowing it is up. In fact, they've smoked up. They'll see Leo soon.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Gonna move
Leo.
in. Frostbite there. A is around. Michael also around. And Snaking does go in with the Rolling Thunder. Looks like they are just gonna kind of backtrack a bit. Not willing to go in while the Echo is up with the Blink Dagger. They'd rather back off and wait for the right moment.
But there's a smoke out now from Infamous. They want to punish this movement forward. They're not going to find the big clump up they want, but maybe they find a pickoff.
Maybe. It doesn't look like they will, because it's going to be very hard to get into that triangle.
Ryoya?
They are moving up towards Ryoya, but he's well and truly out of there. Mariano just a bit too early on that one. That mid lane, Snaking going to show himself trying to go on to the Raid King, but now a Fiend's Grip has caught out Moo, but he's going to be alright. The lift from Z-Freak does cancel it, and now Z-Freak, he's got the Fiend's Grip on. He's going to turn it back around, but the Nightmare is there from the Bane. Still Michael is going to die for the sake of killing off this Crystal Maiden being played by Moo. It's not worth it for Infamous, though. It does not look great.
No, it definitely doesn't. They've been trying to get that slam off cooldown. They finally do, but it's not the big target they want. I have to say this build-up as well from Angel, right? He went for Yule's. We haven't seen Yule's Requiem work out. They tried once, it failed, and Infamous have been just happy enough to pull back and farm. Maybe once Angel has his BKB, they can get that done, but it does feel like they're missing out on a major power spike. They still hold on to a 3k lead, and PentAce have not made too much progression on any tier 2s with a DP, so you do have that in hand, but they are giving Fear a lot of room to just farm up. He's almost at the SNY, and once you have that SNY, the PL is going to be tanky enough to stand in front, to get the mana burn off, and could try to take control of these fights.
I think PentAce are feeling very confident here in this game number 1 now. There's still a 3k net worth lead for Infamous, but that is mostly just based off the fact that they have the Wraith King with the Radiance up. Even a Roshan now to get started here for PentAce. It's going to be a nice quick Roshan with the Exorcism. The Treants come in and they're going to know the Roshan's happening, but it's just going to be too late to try and contest this, and that'll mean Fear is able to get himself the first Aegis of the game.
Radiant's middle tower is no more.
Infamous, they're just going to have to sit back and relax for a bit, it seems. You definitely don't want to have to fight into that Aegis if you can avoid it.
Yeah, it's a risky play. They couldn't even contest because they didn't have the Slam and Michael. Such a long cooldown at level 1, so they didn't really have any options. Maybe if they had this Blink BKB on Angel, they might have been able to do something, but not the best of times for Infamous so far. Still holding on to the lead. There is going to be the Ag Shard rush from Leo. That should negate the effect of the PL in terms of stopping reincarnation, but the point still stands. PL's just going to be able to rip through your 2 lives if you're not careful, and you just need to be ready for that on the side of Infamous. There is a BKB now on Ryoya as well.
There is, and that's going to make it much harder to take him out. Spear does start moving in towards that tier 2 top tower. Same thing happening down towards the bot lane though. Mariano with the Treants getting the job done. So they're just going to try and trade evenly as the glyph does come out from the Dire. Same thing from the Radiant side of things. Neither team really looking too interested in committing for a defense, but well, PentAce, they are much slower as they only have Fear doing that tier 2. So they might have a chance to move back up towards the top lane and defend if they want.
Yeah, they're still hanging around bot though. They just want to still just trade these objectives, not wanting to fight into that Aegis perhaps. They do lose their top tier 2, but they don't even stick around fully for the tier 2 bot, so that could actually just live true. The siege creep might get enough done. There is a smoke here from PentAce as well.
Into the triangle it seems they want to go. Exorcism back up, still 10-second charge on the BKB there for Ryoya. Hey, near run into, gets the Nightmare off, swashbuckle in from snaking into the Rolling Thunder, but no, a nice Fiend's Grip is going to be cancelled. Z-Free, all over it. It's another, and Ryoya also going to get Angel on the SF. Looks like Leo is set to die as well. He's just going to be surrounded here with the Exorcism coming out from Ryoya, and there's just no way out for him. He'll try to fight for a bit, but in the freezing field, you do tend to attack pretty darn slow. That's going to be a very successful smoke now for PentAce.
Yeah, they get the big targets they want to kill off. They do manage to use the Exorcism to at least find a kill, so they're not going to transition to an objective fast, which is the 1 silver lining here for Infamous. But they are losing some big heroes every single time these trades. Losing the SF, losing the Wraith King, never a good sign. We need to see them play around their strengths. We need to see the Echo Slams fly through. Michael is saving up for the Agnum Shard. 200 gold away. That's going to be a spike for the Shaker to play around for Infamous. They've also got this BKB up in Mariano, so you can stand in front on the NP without worrying too much about the control and the silences coming through from PentAce. They do smoke up, but Mariano was in that smoke, so they might have a clue that it did happen behind that tier 2.
Angel is aware that something is awry, but Fear doesn't show himself. Goes to topple the tree line he was in, but he's out now. Still a nice Fisher from Z-Free. Locking him in with a lift down, and now Fear wants to go for a dive. They have the Earthshaker in the backlines, but he's waiting very patiently, but he might have to go in as Angel. He's going to pop the BKB and just walk out of there. But now Leo's in trouble. Tries to run, has no reincarnation, and he's just going to be left alone.
That is a strange movement out from Leo. The rest of his team was retreating. He tried to run up, and he gets punished for just wanting to re-engage without his re-ink. So, nice kill coming out for PentAce. That evens out the game and net worth now. That was the highest farmed hero from Infamous. And they're starting to bleed some ground. They have been behind in momentum for a while, but they were always holding on to the gold lead. Losing that advantage even makes it even harder to approach these games. And PentAce now are just ready to go every single time. They do not have Exorcism up yet. It's going to be up in 12. They're going to have Rolling Thunder in about the same time. So they can just look to force these fights. Aegis only has about 30 seconds left, but it doesn't feel like that's a massive issue for Fear because they just haven't been able to get those combos off on the PL anyway.
I was gonna say Z-Freak is he's been doing such a great job on this pos 4 Rubik. Such an annoying position 4 player to be up against. Every time this Fiend's Grip's come out from A, it's just cancelled immediately. He steals the Fiend's Grip, he takes the Fisher.
Continue.
Very, very difficult time as they found another, and speaking of Fishers, it's going to be Michael. He tried for the TP, but the Frostbite was available from Moo, and he just commits the Freezing Field. No wasting time here from our Crystal Maiden. And PentAce, they're not done. They want a bit more. Angel was around, but he's just going to hide in the tree line and be fine. They'll at least take the outpost.
Yeah, it's a really nice objective to take. We should have some bonus XP as well if it's not taken by Infamous. It has been long enough that the Aegis expires on Fear, but what does that matter when his heart is just about 500 gold away? And then you have to deal with PL with a heart, with a Sanjin Yasha, with a Diffuse on top of it. Infamous just doesn't feel like they have the damage. And even if they did, they need to find these angles better. You need better positions out on A. He still doesn't have anything like the Aether Lens. Is still trying to save up for the Glimmer Cape, but the progression's just way too slow, and the impact of that Bane, as you mentioned, is not going well. Z-Freak just counteracts it in every single way.
Lift up again, Z-Freak. He's got Mariano. Mariano gonna try and fight. In fact, never mind. He'll go for the BKB TP play. That was his 10-second charge to be able to get out of that situation. And you see an immediate smoke now from PentAce as they know the BKBs are down. Even finding a free bounty rune for themselves. But they don't see anyone in the triangle. They might have to move into the other dire jungle, is what I was meant to say. Well, that's happening, by the way. Fee has a Heart of Tarask up on the PL. And Z-Freak, he gets lift off. Making in trouble. Leo is going to try and run, but the Rolling Thunder is, of course, going to connect Snaking, and he's going to just try and keep him trapped up. A nice vision from Michael, however, catching out Ryoya. They can't really save him right now, but Ryoya, he's still alive. He's going to walk out with the BKB. Angel tries to chase him further, but he can't quite get him. Onto Snaking they go, however, and they found another. It's a 2-for-0 trade, and Moo is going to be all right to TP. They have no way to cancel. But it still works out in the favor of Infamous.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't find the DP. Michael was forced to Echo Slam on top, and very quick fingers out from Ryoya to stay alive there. They do find a top tier 1 for the Troubles, and do slide that network lead back on their end. Much tighter farm distribution from Infamous across their 3 cores. Whereas on PentAce, you can see them sacrificing their own farm, especially on Snaking, to enable Fear to be this big. He's still in a really good spot in the PL. They haven't been able to find an answer for that here just yet. And PentAce, despite being 2k down, do still control much more of the map. UI is much more bare bones, looks more like an IRC in some cases. I did use TeamSpeak for a bit, mainly when I was playing MechWarrior Online, because Discord wasn't there yet, although.
He's going to be fine. The Fisher comes out, and you've got the shards there on the Shaker as well. So they save the SF's life. Angel's going to back out. Meanwhile, PentAce, they will go back into the Dire jungle and start taking that over again. More importantly, though, they are just posturing for the next Roshan attempt. And well, the Roshan is going to be a bit more of a late timer, about 2 minutes away. But I'm sure they'll be able to hold this position for a while and just make sure that they get first dibs on Roshan.
Yeah, surprising pickup here from Leo. He goes for the blink, bypassing his BKB. So he's going to be vulnerable to the control, to the stuns, to the silences. Maybe they find an angle though, but it's very difficult. They've got all the jump in the world from Infamous, but they can't find the targets they want.
Ryoya was forced to TP bot though, so this might be the right time to fight. He doesn't have a way back into that mid lane if they did engage now, but that's not going to happen. So PentAce have backed off as well.
Smoke play.
There he is from the backside. Angel going to go for the Requiem onto Z. Freaking blows up the Rubik, but now they've also got the CM as well, so a great start here. He's going to move in, but a big echo coming in from Michael. It's not going to do as much damage as you would hope, but they have surrounded the Phantom Lancer, and he's been silenced up as well, and does go down. Infamous making it work. That was a very cheeky smoke play out from the Dire side, and now well, they are not going to get lucky enough to have a Roshan respawn, but they might be able to find an objective or two if they're lucky.
Yeah, and they aren't quite in position to really get a good shove out though, which is unfortunate for the side of Infamous, but they're going to be happy enough getting those kills. That's exactly what they need to do. Take care of the Rubik first. Once you take that out, you don't have to worry about stolen fissures, stolen grip. You get full value with a grip, and because Fear did opt for no defensive items, he went for all in on stats, no Manta for dodging. This Orchid flies on once you target him down, and he just gets locked in. He does not have his talents to drop Doppelganger cooldown, so it's a lot easier still for the Shakers to find that angle with a blink slam, and it does pay off. So Infamous finally finding that good fight, widens the lead to 7k. And all of a sudden, it does feel like they are back in control just off of those 3 pickoffs.
Skeletons keep waking up Roshan right now. Roshan going to take care of it. So now the Roshan is up. Infamous were a bit unlucky with that timer, but both teams should be aware that it's there now. That does mean our next objective will probably be that Roche, and of course PentAce. They'll go for a big smoke up now. Straight into the pit. They're going to try and sneak it. There are no wards to scout out this Roshan happening. No couriers either, but the pings are coming out, so Infamous are taking maybe a bit of a guess that they're in the pit. It's a bit of a hard defense without having the Echo Slam. They aren't going to make the defense either. Going to be taken. Perhaps not 100% sure that it was happening in the first place. Fear will get the second Aegis of the game now on this Phantom Lancer. I believe they gave the cheese over to Ryoya. And he's going to be able to just spend some time to get that full Abyssal Blade now. And I think that'll be cue to just go fight again.
Yeah, it's going to give more control out the side of PentAce. I do think that, again, you have to watch the PL without going for any defensive items. Even a Manta would help the cause, as the Orchid can mess you up once they find the right target. You have to watch about giving this time away as well, because the Arcane Blink for Angel is almost up. So you get that up, and then you hit 25. Cooldown and uptime on Requiem and your raises is ridiculous. There's a lot of damage the SF can still do into the late game, especially once BKBs start to tick away. So have to be careful about trying to play in this farm game. The DP is going to start to fall off. Ryoya, he just wanted to push those towers early on. He sacrificed his farm for PL, even snaking. His progression has stalled out with the Blink Ults. So they're not scaling as well on any other hero beyond Fear. Maybe you could argue Z-Freak is getting value, but that's just the nature of the Rubik. Infamous is doing a lot better with the space out with farm.
Bit of pressure into that mid-tier too, Fear. Slowed down a tiny bit by the Fissure out from our Shaker. Doing a lot of damage to that tier 2 tower. Meanwhile, the rest of PentAce just standing quite a distance away, just making sure he doesn't get jumped. Some D wards out while they can. Angel with that arcane blink, ready to jump in whenever, and he does spot out Snake King. He may try for this, but Z-Freak is around, so he needs to be a little bit careful. Looks like he's not going to bother. Instead, Snake King taking the outpost now, really tempting Angel, and Angel is going to go in for it with the arcane blink. And just blows him up completely. Snake King would not end up getting the outpost either.
And Arcane Blink on SF is such a broken combo. Because of that cast delay, cast point reduction, you just insta-cants the Requiem. So not much worry there. You can find the kills. Good punishment out from Angel, and he doesn't need to wait long for the next Requiem. Because again, Arcane Blink, very balanced item. Gonna be up again in 40 seconds.
Yeah, especially when you get that level 25 talent.
Oh, yes. Oof. Oh, and he has a Quick Moon Charm too.
Oh, good. Hey, silence there. Fisher from Leo right in onto the CM. Moo is going to be able to Glimmer Cape. But that'll be enough here for Infamous. Just a bit of a threat.
You have to watch this Raid King as well. He's got the overwhelming blink up.
Wow.
So that's actually a pretty decent way of helping you figure out who the PL is, the real PL. You blink in, you look at the one that takes less damage, helps you identify that target. It's a decent chunk of damage as well. You have a lot of strength on the Raid King. That's about 300 in AoE. And the slow is pretty potent against the support. So you are itemizing quite nicely on Infamous's end. And you start to wonder whether or not PentAce are depending a bit too much on Fear. He's still saving up for that Abyssal, almost at that point. But if he does buy out, he is not going to have buyback. He still has Aegis for about a minute 15. But after that time, Infamous are probably going to be looking to take those fights.
Leo spotted him out for a second. I actually love the fact that he went for that overwhelming blink, and I know you already pointed out that it is going to be able to deal with some of the illusions of the Phantom Lancer. I don't know if it's going to do quite enough, as you've got the Heart of Tarrasque, so those illusions are pretty tanky. But I suppose this is one of the instances where overwhelming blink is actually better than, say, a swift blink. We'll see, though. He is yet to prove that. Watch it gets done. Like bot lane, Mariano going to just TP out on the tree line, snaking right nearby.
Getting scary, allowing Angel to sit to build into 25. Like the CDR is going to come up soon, Mike, and see that CDR talent plus that arcane blink. I just want to see it. I want to see how devastating that is. They have the Abyssal up on Fear, so additional control on PL, a little bit of tankiness as well on hand, and that should help them get control in these big fights. The issue is they're trying to get a push off, but it's not going to be as quick if they don't expend that exorcism. Their top is already gone. So one outer tower left here for PentAce. They should take out the last tower for Infamous, but the Aegis does expire. So Fear is going to be exposed if he's not careful with no buyback.
He has to be cautious. They'll give him the cheese instead. They really need him to stay alive. There are multiple ways to deal with that PL now, though. And I don't believe PentAce know about all the ways there are. So I think things have become a little bit more dangerous now. So Leo is going to try and rush forward and see if he can find him. Meanwhile, Angel with the arcane blink as well, looking for a target. Fear is going to doppel out of there. BKB is forced out by Mariano. Yeah, Penta, they don't seem to want to fight. Not feeling good about that one. They just all retreat. They may have really just waited too long, because Infamous now 7k net worth lead, and we said it a few times already, but they are looking very, very strong here.
Yeah, it's just a lot to fight into. I think PentAce is just worried about their execution right now. Again, you went all in with a build on the PL without any sort of defensive item. So Fear is just sort of vulnerable if he does get caught out. He is saving up for a swift blink, so RP will be able to see that. In fact, does that mean we've got every single blink kind? That does, right? That's pretty interesting. You rarely see every single blink upgrade in the game, but we might see it here.
I think it was one of the nicer changes, or rather additions into the game, right? Like I always thought blink as an item was... If you're a hero that wants Blink, you're never going to get rid of it. But there's no way to really upgrade it to make it scale better. Up until this point, where we have these 3 different kinds of Blink, and I thought it was kind of a genius addition by the Frog himself. It kind of fits very nicely, and he even made it kind of balanced as well, because they are very expensive. A lot of people have, commented on how broken Swift Blink is, and how broken Arcane Blink is in these instances, but you've got to also appreciate how long it takes for people to farm those items up. It's really not that simple.
No, definitely not. I can see an argument, though, because it kind of incentivizes just rushing the Blink, and on some Snowball heroes, you can actually just keep going for kills, flash farm, and then build into the Blink upgrade, which is, I think, one of the reasons why the SF in this case is working out. So there's an argument for and against how broken it is. I think for some heroes, definitely a bit game-breaking, just because they're already flash farmers, they already go into the Blink anyway, and these Blink upgrades are pretty darn strong. It does give some spice towards the late game, because it always felt like Blink was a bit of a dead slot. I mean, it's always useful, but, sometimes you're like, okay, I could have used something else in the Blink slot. Sometimes you have to swap around those items mid-fight. You get a little bit more utility there, as we do get the go-ahead. Hopefully that sorts out all the issues here for Infamous.
Hopefully.
Now the fight resumes. But will it follow the same thread?
Used to be a matter of you used to just ignore Blink and, like, on a core or carry most of the time, you used to go for an Abyssal Blade. And that kind of just fit the bill instead of going for a Blink Dagger. But now you can just have both. And, 2 is better than 1. Oh, and look at that charge.
Ooh,
Spell
balance.
Prism as well. So now Angel's going to have level 25 minus 30% cooldown, plus a Spell Prism on top, plus the Arcane Blink. So right now, without the 25 talent, it's at 82 seconds cooldown with the Spell Prism. So once he has 25 and the Arcane Blink on top, that's going to be a ridiculously low timer.
Oh yeah, it's a lot to play into now for the side of PentAce. And it's such a close game, 14-13. The 8k lead is big for Infamous, but that's like 2 items on 2 different cores, or 1 item in 2 different cores. So it's not as massive at 38 minutes in. It does still give Infamous a good advantage in taking these fights, but they are being cautious. Both sides do not want this game to swing either way, and are playing on the edge. I still think this does favor the outcome for Infamous. Just wait for Angel to hit his timing, and then he's going to have all the spell spam, item spam in the world. And that is just going to be frustrating to play against if you are in PentAce.
Still just farming here. Swift Blink being farmed up on Fear. He's quite a while off it. Spell Prism found for the PentAce side, so I guess that's kind of nice for them. Just this constant split pushing down to the bot lane as well that's been coming out of the Prophet. Ryo's been consistently TPing down with his BOTs to make sure that's dealt with. And at this stage, you're kind of just waiting for the next Roshan now. It's not really about finding a smoke anymore. Just wait for the next Roshan play and try to get that before the other team can. Looks like Fear has spotted out Leo, and Leo is very alone. And he is going to get stunned up here. He needs some help. He's going to TP, but Z-Freak is going to be able to get the lift off. Leo, he's not going to have any hope coming in. He's pretty much just gone. Can he make his way out somehow? Probably not. Looks like he's just dead. I mean, we're almost 40 minutes into the game. I don't know if you can be farming alone like that anymore. It's he probably assumed that they're in the triangle because the Roshan should be spawning soon. Still a very risky play though, to assume that they wouldn't come kill him.
Yeah, really good abuse there. Can you believe it, Mike? Arcane picked up by Angel. So he's got Arcane Rune, plus the Blink, plus the 25 talent. I just want to see it in action. It doesn't feel like Infamous want to take a fight without the Wraith King, though, so PentAce can use this opportunity to zone them out. There is still a minute until Roche. Maybe they find a pickup or 2 here.
He's going to have 2 Requiems with this Arcane Rune, assuming the team fight can last long enough, because without the Arcane, he has 41-second cooldown just about after using the Arcane Blink. So with the Arcane Rune on top, you're looking at roughly 30-something. And if the team fight drags out long enough, he's going to have 2 Requiems to use, which is pretty darn insane. But for now, we've got to actually see a team fight to have that happen. Just judging by how the game's been going, it may not happen anytime soon, though. As I say that, a lift up. Angel going to BKB and just TP. He does not want the fight.
Ooh, that was a risky play. Snaking had a basher. So if they got lucky, he would have been stuck there and dead. They do manage to zone out, and they do play greedy. Abyssal done on Angel. So imagine that cooldown as well. 20 seconds without popping the Arcane Blink. Once you jump in, it's going to be even lower. I don't know about the Abyssal over a Hex. I think the Hex is much more stalled stun, but it's still highly effective, and the stats are good in the SF. So they do smoke up. They want to force this fight out with the Raid King back up.
Well, they've got everything. Roshan is also up, so if the team fight is won by either side, that means a Roshan. Refresher Shard is on the Roshan to boot. Leo going to move in, does jump in onto Fear, but will go onto the CM. That should be Moon dead. They do eventually dust him up, but they've left him for a while now. BKB going to be popped by Angel, but the Rolling Thunder is out from Snaking. Meanwhile, Fear just focusing in on Leo. So Ryoya, he kills off A. Leo out of mana now, and they're just going to leave him be. They'll ignore him completely. Going after Michael on the ES. The buybacks have been expended to bring everyone back from Infamous. But Leo is still stuck on no mana. And very low HP. So it's not like he can really blink in there and just stun somebody and go for a kill. He's in a very awkward position.
Yeah, and this is also very awkward for Infamous. Angel cannot find the angles to go in. I think he's trying to find Rubik to get his Requiem off first. But this hesitation is costing these fights, and they lose 2KO.
Mariana. Also going to die.
Oh!
While near the Roshan
Fear.
pit. Arcane Blink. Fear is going to get caught and does die. Z-Freak now trying to move in with his own Requiem, but it doesn't do anywhere near as much damage. That'll be enough. They get out of there. But they got Fear on the PL, and that's all they wanted.
Yeah, I think that compensates for losing and buying back on your sports and losing Mariano as well. Infamous going to be feeling happy about taking out the PL. Very aggressive jump forward with the Abyssal, and he could not doppel away from the Echo Slam. So Michael got full value from his spell. Have to be cautious. It's still a PL into Shaker. Sure, you've already got the heart, you've got the durability up on that hero, but the Shaker can still kind of take away a lot of that. And they go into the Roche here as well.
Definitely want to get that done. Angel even killing off Ryoya down to the bot lane. Didn't quite spot that one out. That's going to happen a lot.
Nice.
That's the thing. Like, you've got that Requiem on off cooldown so often. That is going to happen very, very often in this game. Warriors going to try and set up for a steal, but they are going to both go down. The Roshan, I mean, it's a very slow process, this Roshan, but eventually they'll get it.
Yeah, it's tricky to play this courier game with a Shaker around. He can just fissure into the wall and walk around the wall with his Ag Shard. So it's a tricky one to do. They're not going to be able to contest because they don't have Rolling Thunder on Snaking, and of course no buyback on Ryoya. So a big pickup here for the side of Infamous. They've got the refresh on Angel as well, as if he needs it. But they're going to have to deal with double Requiem instantly. Remember, cast point is so low because of that Arcane Blink. And they can just start ripping through on Infamous Ascend. 18-16, 9k lead out for Infamous. Leo now at 25 does have the Reincarnation Great Fire Blast, so he can get additional control with his death. And they are building up. He's already got the Mjolnir up on the Wraith King, so the PL Illusions hammering on one hero could end up being bad for himself. And Infamous, despite having no outer towers left, it does feel like they're in charge now.
That it does. They've always had the net worth lead, that's the thing. Like, they've never been behind in that sense. Now a Lincoln Sphere up on Angel just to make sure he is completely safe through the Requiem. That he definitely is. PentAce still farming up towards that Swift Link on Fear. It doesn't feel like that's necessarily going to make the difference this game. But we will see. Infamous have gotten started on that tier 2 mid, and
I just
pretty easy to
realized
take that. Yep.
the Linken's cooldown, because you've got the cooldown talent, the spell prism. The Linken's is at 6.8. Like, that is just so stupid. Angel is just not going to be targeted at all. You can't. And he's got an arcane rune as well. Look at that, Mike. Another arcane rune. Isn't that great?
That's fantastic, John. Lower those cooldowns.
He wants to use the bottle, though. He wants to use the bottle, but what does he slot out?
I don't think you can really take out anything for the bottle. I mean, you could... Oh, actually, they need help right now. Leo's been lifted up into the tier 3 tower. He does just pick up the arcane rune in the end, and he's going to try and rush over with the BOTs. First life gone on Angel. Pop the Exorcism trying to go in with the Abyssal Blade now, but here comes Angel with that Requiem onto Fear. It's not going to do much, but the Echo comes in as well. Michael still not doing enough, though. Fear is very tanky. He's going to die. Into more, they'll go after the SF now, and that team fight does not work out in their favor. They're going to lose the Aegis. He does use the Refresh Shard as well, so he has a Requiem up. He's going to try and use it, but he won't be there in time. And PentAce, they make the team fight work. They defend the high ground. I think that the Arcane Rune kind of screwed them over, John. He was so indecisive as to what he was going to do with it that he let Leo die the first time, and the second time around they were just prepared and set up to take him out.
I don't know why they forced that fight out without the SF. It's such a greedy play from Infamous, and they get punished hard. They lose the Aegis, they lose the Refresh Shard as well in that encounter, and now they are on the back foot. They're gonna have to hold their high ground. They could try to play split push with the NP, but Mariano does not have the Axe Shard, so this is not as fast as if you've had those great Recreants on hand, and their mid tower is now being shoved in.
He's free gone. Easy for Fear. They are very confident without the buybacks available on Infamous. This could be 2 Raxes going down very easily here for PentAce now. And that will be. Do they have time for a third? Probably not. There's only 13 seconds left for the SF respawn. But with the 2 Raxes up, they're going to be well and truly in control of this game. And if they really want to, they could just wait for the next Roshan again. There's not really much of a rush. However, top lane, Mariano was caught up by the Fiend's grip. He's going to turn around and hit Z-Freak. Eats the cheese as well and keeps fighting the Snaking now. Going to go for a Rolling Thunder, and Fury is eventually going to get here. Does get the kill. There is buyback on the Prophet, and I don't think that PentAce is really going to be bothered to go onto the high ground again for now anyway.
No, they're going to take their time. They've got control on the map. They've evened out the net worth gap. Less than 1k lead for Infamous, so it's starting to bounce back into PentAce's way. They're 2 racks up. 2 waves will just constantly shove out. You have to be careful if you're Infamous. They messed up once. They've took a fight without Angel around. That hurt their chances. They need to play as a team. They need to stick together. That's where they shine. That's where all their damage comes in. You can see issues with damage on both sides. Although...
they've reinitiated. Angel going to go in onto Snaking and does get the Pangolier kill. They're going to try and turn back around onto the Wraith King now, but the control is there from our Shaker. Leo is going to try and fight, but look, Echo comes in as well. Fear is in a spot of danger and is going to drop. Yeah, he goes down. Mill as well, and so does Ryoya.
Oh, this is awkward. PentAce, no buyback in the PL. He is their main damage. And they could buy back in Ryoya, they could buy back in everyone else. But without that PL, they won't have the damage to rip through Leo, to rip through our SF. And they're going to look for the high ground now as well. They nut through these towers, through the back door. Doesn't matter.
That is very, very quick. can they go for tier 4s here? I mean, if they realize the PL has no buyback, that's the only thing they need to be afraid about. Nobody else is anywhere near as farmed as Fear, apart from maybe Ryoya, but even then, the DP, probably not quite as scary. Instead, they're going for Megas. Blink in, Requiem not going to come out yet. Angel will pop the BKB and now we'll just TP right up. And no, the bash comes in. He gets bashed. He'll go for the Requiem, but the Arcane Blink passive was already expended. Oh, that's a huge mistake. They can't go back for the Megas now.
Oh.
And Infamous, they do even out the game, but you could have got Megas and made it that much easier for your team. Doesn't work out that way.
It's a greedy play from Angel again. He wants to go for the kill, force the dieback, but gets taken out instead. No respect for the sports and the control they had. You have to remember that Rubik's range is just ridiculous, and they do get punished. If they got Megas there instead, this would be a lot easier for Infamous, as you mentioned, but now they're going to be playing, well, a bit in the back foot. There were a couple of buybacks forced out, so overall, you're not going to be feeling too bad about that. There's no buyback in Ryoya, no buyback in Mu, and no buyback in Snaking. So the DP, CM, and Pango, if they die, are not going to have access for the defense. And I think that might be enough for Infamous to feel okay about that toss forward, but it's not a very good trade in the end. I think Infamous are still going to be playing conservatively now. Wait for that next Roche. You can see the couriers and the treants just keeping eye. We will find out in about half a minute when it's going to be up. You do build up in Mariano really well, though. I mean, he's already got that Nullifier, he's got the Sight of Vice, he's got the Bloodthorn, so he can basically doom people up and take control. If you're not careful about the NP, and we've seen Mariano do this, he can just find pickoffs while forcing around those split pushes.
Yeah, he can. Got that unlimited TP now. They can just keep TPing all across the map without any cooldown. Very balanced. I mean, we talked about the Arcane Blink balance, but this is truly some balance. Literally being able to be anywhere on the map in a second or so. Kind of ridiculous.
Oh, yes. I would like to see the Ag Shard for Mariano, just to enable stronger split pushes coming out. There is a smoke up here, though, from PentAce. They might find someone.
Michael, he's going to be the target. Nice lift up there from Z-Freak and Snaking. Even pops the BKB just in case. You always want to have that Rolling Thunder ready to go whenever. Of course, PentAce, they'll take the outpost back. They'll take the Die Jungle back. Infamous, you're not going to enjoy losing the Earthshaker, but it's not too big of a deal. Roshan's not up for another 40 seconds either, so you should have enough time to be prepared to contest. And they have consistently kept that bot lane still pushed up thanks to Mariano. So it's not like PentAce is really going to be able to sit by the Roshan pit and wait. They are going to have to consistently come back and defend that base of theirs. And look at Leo. For a target in that mid lane is not going to find one. Spot out Ryoya now, but that's not quite as easy as he would hope. It's back to the triangle. In fact, they'll smoke up.
Well, they're going to see Roche first as well here. But the treants are there to scout out as well, so they know something's up. And Infamous, no one on the top jungle, fortunately for them. So it doesn't look like the smoke will lead to too much here.
Angel TPs towards the top lane. That could be a pretty big opening here for PentAce. He blinks back, but Z-Freak is going to be there to catch him out and breaks the Lincolns. And Fear now going to jump right in, but the BKB is out. Still the Abyssal is available by Fear. Angel can't Requiem that quick right now and is going to die. No buyback.
Oh boy. He spent that gold in his refresh. So now they're going to have to seed out this Roche. That is the full set of Roche items. Now Aegis, Cheese, Refresh, Ag's Blessing. And there's just no way to stop it unless they want to play cheeky with a Shaker. But they're going to have to accept that. This could be Megas coming out for PentAce. There is a buyback now on the SF, but it's not going to be quick enough. That Roshan is gone.
Oh, it's way too late. Who's getting what? Ag's Blessing goes on Ryoya. Looks like Snaking will take the Refresher Shard for now. Of course, the Aegis should be on. It's not on Fear. He took the cheese. And the Aegis is on our Pango, so Snaking's got it.
I guess that's fair enough. I think Fear has enough time to pop the cheese in these fights. Although the chain stunning from Infamous is still pretty strong, so you do have to watch out for that. There is still enough time for PentAce to try and push for that Mega Creeps up top, but the respawn is coming up shortly for Angel, so there is that to watch out for. And he's going to have buyback, at the least for the next, well, after a couple of waves, he's going to have buyback again, so should hold steady. We are starting to see more emphasis now on our Prophet as well. Mariano is starting to take over in terms of farm, trying to save for his Ags upgrade and the Shard, and that should allow better split pushes and better fights to come out when they get those items up. So just need to wait for that to come out. So far, just a safe play here from PentAce, shoving out each wave to ensure that they don't get split pushed down while they try to go for the high ground.
This game could go on forever if this split push keeps up. Almost at the hour mark now between these two teams. Top lane again though, Leo might be the target. I don't think they see him yet. He might be able to TP in time, and yeah, he does. Those Treants really saving his life by scouting out PentAce coming towards that top lane. Surely if you're PentAce now, like with all these bonuses from the Roshan, you've got to want to go high ground.
Yeah, they have everything they need. You look at that Dota buff probability, Mike. Look at how confused it is. 54% the way of Infamous now, it says. It's just been bouncing back and forth. Such a tight match between these two teams. 25-21, 57 minutes in. You still have that lead in Infamous, although...
Oh, stun out from Angel. Lincoln's going to be popped, but he gets the double Requiem off, and Fury is going to die into the Fiend's Grip now onto the Death Prof of Ryoya. Is going to keep him away. See Freak, Aeon Disc going to be popped as well. They're going to try and turn this one around as Fear did buy back, right back into the Nature's Prophet. Mariano going to be targeted and does go down. No buyback on the Prophet.
This is the scary spot now for Infamous. They should have buyback gold on their NPA passively in a few seconds, but it's a really slow go. There's an opening here for PentAce. They didn't expand Aegis at all. They still have cheese on Fear if you can swap it in time, and there's no slam. So that big tool they had to take care of the PL is gone, and this should be Megas now.
Definitely should be. Fortification there. Stun out from Leo, not going to help too much. He's going to jump in, trying to go after the Pango. Snaking still has the Aegis, so should have a secondary life, but Requiem is also there in Ryoya. It's going to get blown up. No buyback on the DP. Fear is unwilling to jump in as well, and that'll be it. They're going to back. I don't know, I think it's very conservative. I understand they don't have the DP. I'm just not sure about that. Mariana's going to be back now in 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's a missed opening. Like, once this NP's back up,
oh, Leo's
going to
be able
to farm back for buyback. Oh, that explains it. Well, did he have it in that last hit? Maybe he did, but I guess that explains why they're mitigating risk. Now it's a bit of a dicey spot. There are opportunities. I love that Fear went for this. He went for the Aeon Disc on the safe lane. You rarely see that, but in this case, Infamous are all about that burst and control. The Aeon Disc will break that off long enough that he can swap the cheese in and maybe surprise Infamous if they're not ready. So you have to watch for this from Infamous's end. They do smoke up. They have the NP to TP in a few seconds, but this is also a slightly risky play if it doesn't go right.
Snaking, could be caught. Doesn't have the Aegis this time, but let's get the roll. Leo. Doesn't need too much, just needs a big swing with that Divine Rapier and maybe a crit.
Yes. The seeds of
So tier 5 items are now farmable, so... Oh, Giant's Ring.
Oh,
right,
boy.
someone's going to be a Giant. Mirror Shield as well,
boy.
which means Angel will have 2 Lincoln Spheres if he wants. Should be a bit of fun, but no, he does give that away.
Oh boy. Mike. Giant's Ring with overwhelming blink. That sounds like a pretty dead person to me once you're on top. That's a lot of strength on a Raid King.
That's a big boy.
That's 200 DPS when he's on top. Like,
I love
Leo is
tier 5
just
items.
really scary now. Look at this, he's saving up for the Ags as well. So once he has that blessing on, even if he dies, he can just port home, and if he doesn't get bashed by the Pangolier, that's it. Divine just goes back to base. Infamous, they're looking scary as this game scales on. And PentAce, I mean, they've still got power in them, but this game's so tough, they can't even farm out those tier 5s the same way. So they're not going to have that power spike for this next fight.
Leo gonna jump in now, snaking, gonna pop the BKB and survive as they Rolling Thunder their way back in. They would really love this Divine, but Angel is there now with the Requiem to fear them back off. The Echo also there, and they burst down Ryoya onto the Pango. They get another. 2 down with that buyback, and Leo is not done. Right back into Moon, but Fear is gonna try and fight back on the PL. But he's been rooted up, he's been controlled. The Aeon Disc is gonna save his life. Still, it looks like Infamous do want to go for the final lane of Barracks. Mariano going to TP right away from Fear. They aren't going to finish off the Barracks. They don't want to risk it with the buyback out from Ryoya. They're going to go back in now. Skeleton's back up for Leo. He takes down the melee Barracks. They get the Megas. He still has to be very cautious not to die here on this Raid King. It could make the game a lot harder for them, but he's feeling confident as he jumps back in onto Moon, blows up the Crystal Maiden.
It's a raid boss, man.
Oh, he's huge. Jump in again. Fear gonna try and fight, but the Requiem is there and Fear's gone. There's no buyback available, and that's it. GG is called. And Infamous, after 62.5 minutes, do take game 1.
Oh, I have chills, Mike. Chills. What an ending from Infamous. They never lost the net worth.